In this video, we're going to focus on performance arrows where we're comparing the upper or dataset 0 with dataset 1, where it's either neutral, growing, or declining, and you will see that the shape will match with the colors depending on the situation. So let's start to look at how to do this. First of all, make sure you have the border template, which you can find here on chartjs3.com getting started, this specific link here. Once you're on here, copy this chunk of code and you're good to go. Next, make sure you join the Patreon page if you want to get the source code of these videos, and of course join the Discord channel. So to do this, and by the way, all these links here above here, we have them in the description box. So to do this, first of all, we need to have a horizontal bar chart. So I go quickly here, I will say index axis, and the index axis here, we'll set this on the Y, comma, save, refresh, there we are, we swap these. So once we did that, we need to make sure we have space here on the right side. To do that, for the Y scale, we don't have to have anymore begin at 0. But for the X scale, we can start to work here. We can say maybe begin at 0, that's fine. Nothing changes. And here we need to have what we call grace. So I say comma, and I say grace, maybe 10 points, something like that. So that will mean that if we refresh here, you'll have a big chunk of space. Although how much you want, you can just put in there how much you want. It's up to you, 10%. Even string 1 would work as well. You can see it's one specific tick. So just look what you prefer. I would just say maybe one tick should be more than enough. So we have enough of it. Save. There we are. I think that's fine. Alright. What I want to do here is I want to make sure you have the pointing arrows down or up. To do that, I need to make sure I have another data set here. So I'm going to copy this, say comma, paste, and I'll say here maybe sales week 2. This is week 1. Save, refresh, there we are, we have these. Let's change the color of those. Week 2 will be that one, or week 1, that's one of the colors. Just select any of those. Save, refresh. Alright, give it a random amount of numbers. 15, 3, I'll just keep a few same, 6, and then 12. Save, there we are. So we have all these different values here, and I realize that we have a lot of them are always bigger, or, well, that's fine. What I also have is what we call a neutral number. What if it's equal? So we have up, going down, or a neutral or equal, no difference in growth. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to say a comma, and then I'm going to say a plugin. So then I'm going to add up here a plugin. I'll just call this performance arrow, or arrows, whatever you want. So let's do it arrows, it's plural, constant. We're going to make this plugin, say performance arrows, and then what we're going to say here is after the data sets has been drawn, we will draw this. So then I'm going to say chart arc plugin options. And once we did this, we need to make sure we have what we call the object destruction, because we want to start going in here. So I say constant equals this, and I assume you already know what I'm doing here. If you don't, I have a video in the description box. CTX, we get the data. Chart area, maybe. Well, I think we do need the right side. So the right side, that's probably the only one we need, and we need the scale specifically. X and Y, I think we only need the X value, but we'll see. We can play around with that later on. So then, what I'm going to do here is basically we're going to create 3 different shapes. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, let's start to draw. I'm going to say ctx.begin path. And the reason why we do begin path, we're going to create a new shape that's independent of anything else. And what we're going to do is just create a triangle here. And then next, we're going to say color. I'll say this will be the fill style. And just make this red. Straightforward, this would mean that if we're going for a red one, we will have basically a triangle pointing down. So we will start with the pointing down and then go up to the left and then right and then down. That's what we're going to make now. So we're going to do these lines. So I say ctx.move to, and here we need the X and Y coordinates. This is the starting point, basically the dot that we put on the piece of paper or on the canvas. In this case, what we want to do here is get any shape here, somewhere here, the coordinates. Well, we can look at the coordinates. What would we like to do? We can probably get, well, let's make the shape first and then afterwards reposition it here. So I'm just going to do it somewhere here, and I probably know it will not be in the right spot. We'll fine tune that. So what I'm going to say here is I would like to have maybe at 20 pixels a item. So that would mean 20 pixels to the left. And how many pixels to the down? Well, we can match it with this here. I think we can say y dot get pixel for value. And this is a built-in functionality. So this is chart.js built-in functionality, and we can just say here number 0 for data point number 0. Then what I want to do here, alright, that's our starting point. So what we can do after this, because this is the function that will just give us here somewhere, it will naturally align itself to Monday, basically the center of this point, and then later on we move it here. So we have this here now. What I want to do is just to create a simple visual. I'm going to say ctx.line 2, and we're going to create the next part. Where exactly will this be? It should be, well, what we can do is just to give you a visual. I'm going to just put in here something and just say here 30. And once we did that, I'm going to say ctx dot not fill but stroke. Later on we'll do fill. So we just save this, and let's see if we get something here. Of course, we have here, we need to say ctx.line with 10 pixels. I'll just do this. Later on I'll fine tune this, but there we are. Alright, so what I want to do, I want to move it here. You can see it's exactly here, but I want to go here. So this is the reason why I have the right side here, and this y here, I went a bit ahead of myself, was based on the y here of the scale. So what I can do here on the left side, I'll just put in this here, the x. If I save that, and I need to make sure that this here is minus 20, save, refresh, there we are. Alright, we are getting now something, but we want to make sure it is well aligned. So what I'm going to do here now is, I want to have space here, because eventually we're going to put in text, but it will be in the next video, not in this video. So what I'm going to do just for now, I'll just say here, I will start here with minus 20. Then what I want to do here is, well, what is this point exactly? If we look at this point, we know that this point is the pointing down. So that needs to be going down a little bit more as well. To do that, I need to make sure that we are assigning here a value, because what I'm going to do here is I say plus, let's say 5 pixels for now. Then we're going a little bit like that. Alright. Then what I want to do here is change this as well for the right, because now we are here and I want to go up and then to the left a little bit. So what we can say here, if this would be a 15 pixel arrow or triangle, so every side would be 15 pixels, I need to go to the right, I guess 27.5. That is number 1. There we are. Alright, so it does a bit of a weird shape here right now because of these. If I just put the line here on 1, we start to get better. Alright, that looks slightly better, but I want to move as well, maybe 10 pixels or something like that. So I need to go up, and then we need to use a negative here. We're going up, let's say 20 pixels, save. That's too much. Alright, let's do 15. That's probably much better. Alright, I feel like this is slightly too big. Let's do 10 or oh, of course, so it's not 15, sorry, this is plus, so that will mean if I do here, well, yeah, I'll just do it in 10. That looks much better. Alright, that should be about 15 pixels already, because the difference of this is 15. So now what I want to do is I want to copy another one, paste it in there, and now instead of the right side, I need to go to the, or instead of negative, I need to move from here more to the right. So I need to use here, I'm not sure we need to use plus, probably not. We don't need to use plus, but we should be moving at least lesser to the left. That's basically here. So I want to have this 15 pixels, so that will be 7.5. That will be basically minus 15, so that will be 12.5 here. Let's save that, refresh. There we are. Now we get the triangle. I guess for the final one we can say ctx at close path. So it will close that, but make sure the close path is before we draw the line of stroke. Save, refresh. There we are. Now we've got something here. Alright, what I want to do, of course, I don't want a stroke, I want to have a fill. This was just a sample for the visual, so I'm going to delete that and just say here fill, save. There we are. Now we have one pointing down. So what I want to do next is basically have another one. So we can say here, or what we want to do first is do a for each loop. So we're going to loop through all of these items here. So we're going to say here, and this is why we have the data. We say data dot data sets index 0 dot for each, and then we're going to say here for every data point we have an index function arrow expression. There we are. So once you put in this here, what I want to do is I want to grab all of this, put it in there. Remember here we had this 0, that's basically the index. You just put it all in there like that, and if I save this now we should get something. Alright, interesting, we're getting an error. So for each another function for after dataset. So let's see here. Of course this is not allowed. The reason why is I need to get the data. So what I'm really doing here, I'm just going here into the data object that is in here data, and then I'm going to the data set, and then I'll just get the data here and just loop through all these data that we have. So there we are. Alright, now it starts to work, and what I want to do now is fix this better, because what if we have a different situation? So what I'm going to do here is basically we can copy this. I want to make a function out of this, and we're going to say this will be a draw arrow, and then we put this all in here. Once we did this, I need to start putting some values in here. So we say color will probably need. What do we need more? We need probably the values. These will be consistent for every one of them, but the height depends on index. Oh well, we need the index. That's another one. The index. We'll be needing the y up and down. So for up or down, it's basically the numbers that are slightly different, but everything else is still quite the same. So we're going to say here y start and y end, and that will be basically this is y start, this is y end for the red item. So what I'm going to do here, I can just we can just comment this out. I'll be needing that structure later on for the green one, or for the green arrow up. But what I'm going to do here now is, well, we can just say here, draw this arrow, grab that. The color will be red, and then I can change that to here. The index is just the index here, and then the y start will be 5, and then the y end will be -10. And what I will do here, instead of negative, I'll just say plus plus. So once we've got these, we can make sure that this here is the start, this is the end, color we have, the index we have. Let's save, refresh. Alright, nothing changes, but behind the scene a lot have changed. So once we did this, what we want to do next is basically work on the next arrow. So what I can say here, I guess we can just delete all of this. But what I want to do here is create an if statement. If, and then we're going to say here, the data point is larger than the data point of data set number 1, where we have the index. So we're going to compare that. If this one is larger, it's basically a negative or a decline of sales or something like that. So then we can just put that in here. Let's grab this, put it in there, save, refresh, and there we are. You can see here, red on Wednesday has a decline of sale compared to the other one, and same with Monday. So what we're going to do now is same item, but else if, and in this case we're going to say here if the data point would be smaller than data set number 1, that would mean that there's growth. So what are we going to do? We're just going to put in this item here. We're going to draw it, but we're going to draw it in green. Let's save that, refresh, and you can see here now it starts to work on specific items, but we have to flip the arrow, so, or the triangle. So what I'm going to do here is probably, you can say here, I guess instead of -10, maybe say 10, and then we do here -5. Let's save, refresh. Alright, that is not the case, so let me just quickly check what the values are. Alright, so after quick checking, I guess we just have to do here, we have this, and this should be +10, and this should be a -5. Just the opposite. There we are, and we get this one. I do feel that it could be pushed a little bit more higher. So what I'm going to do here is maybe -7.5, but I want to deduct it by 7.5 or 2.5. So it will be 7.575. That is slightly more in the center. I think that's more appropriate. I think this one should be also a bit more in the center. We can fine tune that 7.5, 7.5. There we are. Interesting enough, if we have like this, I realize that we can just have a single digit, just put it all in there, but I will leave it for now. Alright, so once we have this, I want to have another one, because we still have to do the one that is equal. So for that, we're going to draw a different shape. This must be a rectangular shape, like a item. So what we can do here is, well, let's start to draw that first, and after we're going to fine tune it a little bit. We can say here ctx.beginPath. We can just copy this. Then what I want to do here is the color as well. This will be blue. And then once I did that, what I want to do is we have again the ctx.move2. I guess we can just code this ourselves right away. So what I want to do is I want to be again in the center here. But what I will do is I'll make it like 5 pixels, like a rectangle block. It's very straightforward. So I'm going to say move2. Then the x and y will be, well, if we're going to grab here at least the center position, we say right. And then we have here another one here. Let's grab this. But then what I need here is how much is the difference on this 7.575. So we can say here maybe, well, on the right this is 20. Let's do it like that as well. Keep that same. But here what I want to do here is we need here maybe minus 2.5. So we're going to thickness of 5 pixels. We could even make a line, I guess, for it, but I'll just make a shape out of it. You can play around with it in what you want. So what I'm going to do next is ctx.line2. Then we're going to just grab all of this, put it in here. This will be same, but this one will be plus. And then what I want to do is just copy these, put it in there. And we're going to move this here. Let's save that, refresh. Alright, nothing happens yet. Alright, so when we have this, of course it doesn't draw yet because we have just a line. We have no shape, or at least no any kind of shape that has a background color. So what I'm going to do is here, I just make another one, and we just say here again, but this time I want to have only 10 pixels. We just put it in like that, and then we get something here. Alright, so now we have a visual. Now it becomes quite easy. What I really wanted was a rectangle here. We're starting here the center. I feel that is not correct because we should start here, have just a straight line like that. So to do that, I need to just check what is the furthest point. And you can see here minus 27 is probably the furthest point. We're going to do that one, and then the furthest point from the opposite side would be 12.5. So let's do that one as well. There we are. That looks more equal. Now I need to make sure we push this up. The reason why it becomes like a almost like a triangle is because of the closed path. So what I'm going to do is just get another item here. And we have this one, but this one will just be negative this. There we are. Now we get this rectangle here. Very straightforward. We later on have to move that one, but let's test our item here, or what I want to do, just make a function out of it first. Function draw rectangle, and then we can say here color, index, and then I guess here we only have one single digit, and I think the others are as well, so we can even simplify that. So just say here y, or not y. I don't want to have y because we already have the y here. So what we can say here, maybe y corner. All right, oh, yc. So then what I'm gonna do, just cut all of these, or everything here, cut this out, put it in there, give this proper indentation. There we are. Now we have this will be color. And then of course what I need to do is I need to make sure we have to draw a rectangle here, get the index, and we get the y, and that was 2.5. So it's a 2.5. There we are. Then what I can do here, that's all it. YC, just grab that, change all the 2.5 in that one. Save. Oh, alright, we got a mistake here. Let's see what's going on. Color is not defined. Of course, this should be the argument, not the parameter. Make it blue. Save. There we are. Alright, so now we've got these here. Of course, this will not work because we have removed them. And that maybe should eventually be fixed as well. We'll do that in another video. But the logic is already here. Let me just test this. If I have a new value, let's make this 18. Let's make this 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1. Save, refresh. There we are. It instantly recognizes the differences nicely. Beautiful.